Nigeria is a disgrace. The whole thing is a disgrace. They're killing people by the thousands. It's a genocide, and I'm really angry about it. And we pay, we give a lot of subsidy to Nigeria. We're going to end up stopping. The government's done nothing. They're very ineffective. They're killing Christians at will. And, until I got involved in it 2 weeks ago, nobody even talked about it.
I served in Nigeria helping train their Navy SEALs for hostage rescues and to go find these girls. And Harris, it is horrific what is happening to them right now. We were able to get many of them back, but not all of them. And as a father of a daughter, it's just horrific to think little girls, 8, 9 years old, being kidnapped out of their schools and sold into Islamic sex slavery.
The singer Nicki Minaj is calling for global action to defend Christian Nigerians at US missions to the United Nations. She says that faith is under attack in too many places, citing her personal values as a reason for advocating for the cause.
This isn't about taking sides. This is about standing up in the face of injustice. It's about what I've always stood for my entire career, and I will continue to stand for that for the rest of my life. I will care if anyone, anywhere, is being persecuted.
US President Donald Trump has said he'll take action in Nigeria after Islamic extremist groups captured and murdered thousands of Christians over at least the past decade.
Look, finally, Nicki Minaj is of course known for her rap music, turned heads at the United Nations. The superstar used her platform to call out the world's failure to defend religious liberty. She's now backing President Trump's efforts to address violence against Christians in Nigeria. Let's just take a listen to what she said.
Faith is under attack in way too many places. In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray.
Credit to Nicki Minaj. Esther, why is Nicki Minaj one of the few celebrities actually speaking out on this issue?
Because surprisingly, she's one of the few celebrities with the moral compass. And she's picked up on a story that has been largely ignored by much of the Western media. I mean, this year alone, 7,000 Christians in Nigeria have been murdered. Since 2010, you had tens of thousands of churches that have been burnt or attacked. You have whole dioceses in certain parts of the country that are being brutally slaughtered on a daily basis. And for her to say this and to actually give credit to President Trump for highlighting this, it's cost her, I believe, on recent estimates, 100,000 followers.
Wow.
But I think what she's gaining is a lot more, which is obviously putting attention on this critical issue. And you don't really hear about the persecution of Christians and being taken that seriously. I mean, the number that we just heard quoted, 7,000 killed in Nigeria so far this year, that's the highest number of Christians killed anywhere in the world combined. So it's clearly a massive issue that's being carried out by Islamist groups like Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen. And yet no one is speaking about it, because if you have to praise Donald Trump for actually, bringing attention to this, you'd rather stay silent in the corridors of Hollywood and protect your fickle fan base than actually draw attention to a real crisis and a real tragedy.
I mean, what does it say about the 100,000 followers that stopped following Nicki Minaj when she was highlighting violence against Christians in Nigeria? I mean, Nick, what do you make of that?
I think it's unfortunately indicative of what we see on the left in a lot of these conversations these days. And for some reason, the left has decided that there's virtue in weakness. And because they perceive that Christians are in the majority in the Western world, they can't conceive that potentially Christians in Africa or, Jews in the Middle East could potentially be the victims of their circumstance. So I give Nicki Minaj, a ton of credit for speaking out. I hope she continues to do it. I hope she inspires others to speak out. But it's a really sad day when it takes, a Hollywood rapper to speak out, to bring light to something, when, there's a whole foreign policy establishment at the United Nations that exists theoretically to bring attention to situations just like this and put it to a stop.
Often there's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome when we hear from woke Hollywood lefties, and a lot of political opinions, many using social media or if they're accepting an award to promote a message such as Free Palestine. Yet many celebrities seem to be silent about what's happening in Sudan and Nigeria with Christians being slaughtered, Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, when Trump actually brokered the Gaza peace deal, you had pretty much crickets and silence from Hollywood celebrities and TDS sufferers like Rosie O'Donnell, Cynthia Nixon, all these people that are obsessed with talking about Trump. Suddenly they're silent when he actually brokers the deal to get the hostages out. So that kind of speaks volumes. And then the fact that there's no Hollywood celebrities speaking up about what's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Nigeria, with the only exception being Nicki Minaj, who has been very outspoken about this. President Trump actually praised her on Truth Social. And, she has received a lot of praise from Christians for speaking up for those in Nigeria. But she's also received backlash from the kind of liberals that are the TDS sufferers. But President Trump is the only person that has actually said that he is considering taking action in Nigeria to fix this. He's warned the Nigerian government to take action against persecution, the burning of churches, the slaughtering of Christians. So it does speak volumes when you have people like Rosie O'Donnell, who literally devotes her life. She fled the US, and all day, every day, she's making 10-minute TikToks bashing Trump. Yet she's silent on the fact that he was able to broker the ceasefire deal. She doesn't give him credit. And she's silent on, of course, what's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Nigeria. And like I said, Nicki Minaj is pretty much the only celebrity that's actually spoken up.
That's right, and credit to Nicki Minaj, but as you say, one of the only celebrities that's actually speaking out about this.